It was the largest invasion the world had ever seen, and it would end in the snow outside Moscow. June 22nd, 1941. Just after 3 in the morning, along a front stretching more than 1,000 miles, the sky erupts. More than 3 million German and Axis soldiers, backed by thousands of tanks and aircraft, pour across the Soviet border. It is the largest invasion in human history. They call it Operation Barbarossa. For nearly 2 years, Hitler and Stalin had been bound by a pact of peace. It was a lie. Hitler's true ambition lay in the East: living space, oil, and the total destruction of the Soviet Union, and he believed he could win it all in just 10 weeks. Stalin had been warned again and again. He refused to believe it. So when the blow fell, the Red Army was caught sleeping. In a single day, the Luftwaffe destroys nearly 2,000 Soviet aircraft, most of them still on the ground. Whole armies are encircled and shattered before they can even fire back. The Germans advance in 3 great spearheads. Army Group North drives through the Baltic toward Leningrad. Army Group Center smashes east toward Smolensk and Moscow, and Army Group South pushes into Ukraine, toward Kyiv. The Blitzkrieg is merciless. Panzer divisions punch deep and curl around entire Soviet armies, trapping them in vast pockets. At Minsk, 300,000 men are captured. At Smolensk, hundreds of thousands more. But not everyone breaks. In the ruins of the Brest Fortress, a few hundred defenders hold out for weeks, surrounded, doomed, and a warning of the resistance to come. Then the Germans meet something they did not expect. The Soviet T-34 and the K-51, tanks tougher and deadlier than anything in their arsenal. For the first time, the invincible feel fear. In Moscow, Stalin goes on the radio.
Comrades,
He calls it a war
brothers
of survival,
and sisters,
the Great
treacherous
Patriotic
attack by
War.
Nastasia Mikhailova
As they retreat, the Soviets burn everything: crops, factories, whole cities, leaving the invaders nothing but ash. Entire factories are torn from the ground and shipped east beyond the Ural Mountains to be rebuilt and turned back into weapons. And behind the lines, a shadow war begins. Partisans rise in the forests, ambushing the supply trains the Blitzkrieg depends on. This is a war of annihilation, and millions of soldiers and civilians will not survive it. Split. In September, Hitler makes a fateful choice. Instead of driving straight for Moscow, he turns his tanks south, to Kyiv. The result is staggering. Over 600,000 Soviet soldiers are surrounded and captured, the largest encirclement in the history of war. But it costs him the one thing he can never replace: time. By October, the final drive on Moscow begins. They call it Operation Typhoon. The Germans can almost taste victory. And then the rains come. The Russian autumn turns the roads into bottomless mud. Tanks, trucks, guns, and horses are swallowed whole. The great war machine grinds to a crawl. And then comes the winter. The temperature collapses to 40 degrees below zero. The Germans, dressed for a summer campaign, begin to freeze where they stand. Engines will not start. Rifles jam. Frostbite kills more men than bullets. They reach the very edge of Moscow, close enough to see the city through their field glasses. And there, they stop. They can go no further. The Soviets have been waiting. On the 5th of December, fresh divisions from Siberia, men born to this cold, smash into the frozen German lines. For the first time in the war, the German army is thrown back. Barbarossa has failed. The lightning victory Hitler promised never came. Instead, he had dragged Germany into a brutal war of attrition it could never win, and woken a giant that would one day march all the way to Berlin. 3 million men marched east to win a war in 10 weeks. The snow outside Moscow is where their dream died. This was the turning point of the Second World War.